Hey everyone, Graham here from therecordingrevolution.com. Today I want to give you 2 steps to get wider mixes. Wider mixes are usually what people are looking for. A lot of people like listening in headphones and they want that massive stereo spectrum. And it sounds cool and people really enjoy that. And I get questions a lot like, how do you get wide mixes? What do I need? Do I need a stereo widening plug-in? What kind of tricks do I need to do on the master fader to get more width out of my mix? And you know what? I say forget all the fake stereo tricks. Here are 2 real simple ways to make the mix sound wider than it really is, to get more width in the stereo spectrum without any phasing issues or any smoke and mirrors, just good old-fashioned mixing. And they're 2 real simple things you can be doing right now, hopefully in the recording phase, but you'll see why, but definitely in the mixing phase. The first thing you can do, and this is the oldest trick in the book, is to take 2 things that don't sound the same, but play off each other and pan them hard left and hard right, opposing each other, okay? What I mean is this. Here in this song, for example, we've got a wah guitar and a clav. And they're very rhythmic, but they're playing 2 different parts, and they oppose each other very well. Take a listen to the mix here, and then I'll zero in on what I'm talking about.
Oh, no, this thing ain't over. Fellas. What? Throw your hands in the air. And throw your hands in the air. And y'all can sway if you wanna.
Right? They're parts that are, I would call them interlocking. They work well together. 2 different tones. One's a real thin wah, and the other's the wah clav. But they're not playing the same part, and this is critical. They're not playing the same part, so your ear starts to ping back and forth. For 1 second, you hear the wah on the left, and a moment later, you hear the clav on the right, and it makes your ear pay attention to how far the left is from the right. Now, this might sound really obvious, but here's what most people do, and here's what I did for a while, is I would double track everything, double guitars, double acoustic guitars, double lead guitars, make everything super thick, and everything was doubled. And then I would pan the doubles across from each other. So you'd have the same guitar part on the left and then a second performance. It's a second performance. It's not a clone, but the same part, though, on the right. And yeah, it would sound thick, but it would start to sound muddy. And I actually would notice that my stereo width was not very wide at all. The way to get width is to have opposing parts on the left and the right. If I take away the wah on the left and the clav on the right, the mix sounds fine, but you don't notice the edges as much. So let me mute those 2. Sounds fine. Bring in the 2 guitars. Now, they're a little more buried at this point in the song because the horns are blasting. But you notice the textures are there, especially if you've been hearing them right beforehand.
You can dance if you wanna. This groove ain't done yet. Hold on, fellas. Let me hear the horn.
So it sounds simple, but I'm telling you guys, stop double tracking everything. Stop panning your doubles across from each other on every single track. I'm cool if you do that with a track or 2. I totally get that. Some overdriven guitars in the hook or some doubled acoustics here or there. But I'm telling you, I've gotten away from double tracking everything, panning the doubles across from each other because I get more width if I find something, whether it's a keyboard part and a guitar part that play well with each other, and pan them across from each other. Or if it's an acoustic guitar on the left and electric in the right, pan them across from each other. You get 2 separate textures that your ear picks up on, and pan them hard left, one, and the other one hard right. You get more width in your mind without any phasing or weird issues. Step 1. Second step to getting wider mixes is to take all those stereo tracks that I know a lot of you are using. A lot of you are obsessed with stereo tracks, especially if you're doing any sampled instruments. Like this is a great example of a song. The client gives me the song and I have stereo horns, stereo horns, stereo horns, stereo stage piano, but it's like a synthy piano, stereo regular piano, obviously stereo percussion, stereo strings. I'm getting stereo tracks left and right because these virtual instruments are pumping out stereo versions, but it's killing your width and your mix. If you want a wide stereo mix, you got to get rid of all the stereo tracks. I know it sounds counterintuitive, but you need mono tracks that are panned hard left and right and all over the place. So for example, when the horns come in on this song, these purple tracks, I'm colorblind today, these purple tracks are like my horns. So this is the way most people would pan things and the way I used to pan things. I've got the alto sax left and right because it's stereo, horns 1 left and right, horns 2 left and right, everything stereo, strings all left and right, okay? And so you just leave everything stereo, nice and wide, and take a listen to it. It doesn't sound bad, but take a listen. Sounds fine, but if you want it to go wider, here's a couple of things you can do. One of these horns that's stereo, I'm going to take both pan knobs and pan it hard left. So in essence, it makes it a mono sound over here. Instead of this. Hear how stereo that is and the nice reverb. It sounds cool in solo, but you're killing your mix doing it that way. So pan it hard left. Take the next horn, pan it hard right. Because they harmonize with each other, and now they're as far away from each other as possible. And that kind of pulls off of the first step, which is having two different things on the left and the right. Your ear will notice that. In one of these strings here, it's kind of like narrow but stereo and has a weird reverb. It's killing the mix too, so I'm panning that mono up the middle. You hear what I did? So instead of that string kind of filling out the mix where it's going to cover up other instruments, I'm putting it in just one place. I'm saying, strings, don't take over my mix, just be here. Be in one place so my ear will notice you up the middle perfectly, which will then be far away from these horns. You hear that separation we're getting now? Those couple of moves, just those 3 moves, take the horns in this part of the mix to a whole other level where now you get a little bit more width on the edges. All right, again, these are subtle things, so if you're not listening on headphones or maybe right in front of your monitors, you're probably not going to notice these subtle differences. But this is taking your well-EQ'd, well-compressed, well-balanced mix to the next level if you want wider mixes. It's all about your panning and choosing strategic things to pan across from each other and going to mono with a lot of your tracks. Doesn't have to be all of them, but most of them, and placing them in places that are opposing from each other so your ear will pick up on it and notice the edges of your stereo spectrum. That's the key. Where's the edge? And if you can't tell because everything's stereo tracked and doubled and whatever, then you lose that perceived width. So try that on your next mix. As simple as it sounds, this has been very helpful to me. When I open up a mix, I try to find those things that I can put on the edges that oppose each other to get that width. And when I'm recording, for those of you that are recording, you have a chance now, before you finish recording, to think about, do I have enough instruments, or the right instruments is the better question, tracked that can oppose each other in the mix? And think about where you're going to place them in the mix. That is something you should always be thinking about while you record. Even though it should sound good in mono, you still want to think about, where am I going to place this in the stereo spectrum? Do I need that double track guitar? Maybe not. Do I need this other double stereoed whatever track, synth or whatever? Maybe not. Maybe I can make it mono because I'm going to place it here versus here. These are things to be thinking about if you want width. Hope that helps. Give you something new to think about this week while you're recording and or mixing. If you like the video, subscribe. You'll know exactly when the next one drops. If you want more content, more not only videos, but articles, tips, tricks, and exclusive material that I don't post anywhere, then join the mailing list. You'll get free stuff for joining. It's absolutely free. Everything about it's free. And I'll send you my best material to your inbox when you need it most. Have a great day. Most importantly, make some great music and have fun. Take care.